The streets of Harlem in the early 1900s were a battlefield. Poverty, racism, and crime shaped the lives of those who lived there. Born in 1905 in Charleston, South Carolina, Ellsworth Bumpy Johnson was no stranger to the struggle. As a child, he moved to Harlem with his family, seeking better opportunities. But Harlem was far from a promised land. Instead, it was a place where young black men were either swallowed up by poverty or forced to fight for survival. Bumpy chose to fight. Bumpy earned his nickname early. His forehead had a noticeable bump, but it was his sharp mind that set him apart. Unlike the average street hustler, he had a love for poetry, philosophy, and chess. But intelligence alone couldn't put food on the table. As a young man, he got involved with petty crime, running numbers and committing small-time robberies and doing whatever he could to survive. In the 1930s, Harlem was controlled by the Italian mafia, specifically Dutch Schultz, a ruthless crime boss who made millions off of Harlem's illegal gambling and drug trade. Bumpy, however, refused to be another powerless black man under Schultz's rule. He aligned himself with Stephanie St. Clair, known as the Queen of Numbers, and helped lead a rebellion against Schultz's empire. The war against the mafia was brutal. Killings, beatings, and police corruption made Harlem a dangerous place. But Bumpy refused to back down. His intelligence, street smart, and strategic mind made him a legend. When Schultz was eventually taken down by authorities, the legendary mob boss, Lucky Luciano, took over Harlem's criminal enterprises. Unlike Schultz, Luciano saw Bumpy as an equal. The two struck a deal. Bumpy would run Harlem's underworld, making him one of the most powerful black gangsters in history. To Harlem, Bumpy was more than just a criminal. He was a protector, a businessman, and even a Robin Hood figure. He donated money to struggling families, helped young people find jobs, and made sure Harlem's black community wasn't completely controlled by the Italian mob. He rubbed shoulders with civil rights leaders including Malcolm X, and despite his criminal lifestyle, he stood against the flood of heroin that would later devastate Harlem. But power came at a price. He spent years in and out of prison, always under the watchful eye of law enforcement. Despite his efforts to balance his criminal empire with a sense of justice, the game he played was ruthless. On July 7, 1968, Bumpy Johnson collapsed and died of a heart attack in Harlem's famous Wells restaurant. His death marked the end of an era, but his legend lives on. Bumpy Johnson became a gangster because Harlem was a world where power wasn't given, it was taken. In a society that offered black men few options, he chose the only path where he could be respected, feared, and control his own destiny. Whether seen as a hero or a villain, one thing is for certain: Bumpy Johnson ruled Harlem like no one ever before or after him.